Crane the Cowboy coming to you on the LibertyPlaybook.com. And Patrick, a little violent last night in New Mexico. Some protesters against Donald Trump, a mix of Hispanic, maybe Mexicans, and
assorted leftists.
Assorted leftists, Caucasian leftists, waving the Mexican flag, throwing rocks at police, hitting one horse, burning an American flag. And it almost, I think in one sense, it vitalizes what Trump has been saying, that this is a problem.
Well, and the rest of America is looking at this kind of stuff. I'm old enough to remember back in '68 when they were burning American flags. These are college kids, anti-Vietnam War, and they were waving North Vietnamese flags. So this idea that you're going to wave somebody else's flag and burn the American flag, I don't think that sets well with voters, and I think there's a quiet minority out there who just gets up every day and goes to work and says, you know something, that's about enough. I've had it.
This is kind of interesting because in '68 they were protesting against the Vietnam War and the government's policy. That was something that was happening. This really hasn't happened yet. Donald Trump is threatening to build a wall, threatening to restrict immigration, but it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, but these guys figure they better put their flag in the ground at this point, and I think they're starting to believe their own press. They look at the local press and they're getting all these pictures and everything else, and in this, selfie world that we live in today, I think they think they're actually doing something. But there's still a world out there, traditional America, that doesn't like this kind of stuff. And it's one thing if they were demonstrating saying, we want to be Americans, waving the American flag, then some people might have a little sympathy. Oh, they just want to be one of us. No, they're basically saying, we're going to want Mexico to go back to being with the Mexico. That's nuts, and that's not what American people want, and I think they're digging themselves a big hole.
The other question that occurred as you watched this videotape last night from New Mexico, the police, pardon the pun, between the rocks in a hard place. Because I don't think that they can be unleashed, that they feel they can really do their job and crack heads if they have to.
They're afraid, they're deathly afraid. Any police force remembers the scenes of '68. Now, I know it's a long time ago, it's almost 50 years ago, but everybody remembers you had the cops clubbing people, and look what happened in that situation. The Democratic convention was a total mess. Now, I fully expect there's going to be demonstrators in Cleveland for the Republicans. My guess is they're going to be kept outside the hall. At the Democratic convention, the protesters might be inside the hall because there are a lot of Sanders supporters who are saying, we're getting a raw deal here from the Democratic Party. Hell, they want to get rid of Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Right. And what you're seeing here on both sides, really, between Bernie Sanders on the far left and Donald Trump, call him center right, people are not happy with the status quo. They don't think Congress has done enough to help them. They don't think the president's done enough to help them. There's questions about Hillary Clinton's baggage, and there's questions about Bernie Sanders maybe so far left, but he's fresh. It's an old guy who's fresh, but fresh ideas.
Well, I think that this thing's all going to come down to where the country is. At the time did an interview recently where I said, look, this thing's going to come down to events, whether it's a national security event or an economic event, or premiums are going to go up for Obamacare in October. A lot of things can happen that could decide voters, especially at that last minute.
Yeah, and you really do wonder what President Obama is thinking when he puts this transgender thing, when he floats this. It's, if he's trying to secure his base on the equality thing, that's one aspect of it, I guess, but he's just, it almost is the final straw, and it's pushing a lot of people over, saying, we can put up with a lot, but now you're getting our kids involved, and we don't like it.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of when Roosevelt tried to pack the Supreme Court. Roosevelt got away with a lot of stuff, but when he went that far, both sides said, okay, that's enough, we're done, and they reined him in. So I think this thing's going to be, it's amazing. We might have a presidential election determined by who goes to what bathroom.
Or which jail.
Which jail.
Crane the Cowboy, we'll see you again. Thanks.